10th grade, is that right?
No. Fifth.
Fifth?
Fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Eighth?
No,
No, not yet. Almost though. Almost. So 4th grade, right?
Yes.
Well, we are so happy to be in your classroom today. My name is Evan. You can call me Mr. Evan if you'd like. I'm president of the Microwave Dave Music Education Foundation. A lot of words, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep. But it explains what we do. So we go into classrooms just like this one here all over northern Alabama. Sometimes we go to Boys and Girls Clubs and other places as well. So what we like to do, instead of just having someone play music for you, which is awesome, isn't it?
Yes.
Music is pretty awesome. But what we like to do is we like to take music, and then we like to take the other subjects that you learned, and we like to put them together.
How does that work?
You want to know why? Oh, how does that work? That's a great question.
How?
Well, think about it this way. How did any of you learn the alphabet?
Reading.
Right here in the grade school.
By A, B, C, D, E,
Right here in the grade. What's your answer?
by learning.
Right, but how did you learn it? What was the first time? Back in the back. Yep.
ABC song.
That's right. So that is a perfect example, like you're asking. Because guess what? We're learning the letters, but we're singing. And singing helps you learn easier. Music and the arts help you to learn easier and more effectively. You know what else happens is two sides of your brain are working at the same time. Did you know you have two sides of your brain?
Yes.
You did? You didn't? You did? Some of you did? Okay, so one side of your brain is kind of what I like to call the nerdy side. That's the side like your memory and your schoolwork and stuff you have to think, right? The other side is your creative side. So that's like when you're drawing or you're singing or even sometimes playing sports. It's your creative side. Video games? Exactly. Sometimes watching TV, anything that is creative, that you come up with ideas like that. So, what we do in the classroom with you is using both sides of your brain. We're thinking about what you're learning in your books, and then we're also using music to put those two worlds together. What we're going to do today, who likes science?
Myth.
Some of you, a lot of you. Hey, you don't have to like it. You don't.
You still have to learn.
You still got to do it. That's exactly right. Because we all going to learn in school. Because once you get out of school, you have to find a job. And the only way you find a job is by learning when you're in school.
Very true.
So,
That's exact.
how many of you like music? All right. Well, that's what I like to see as well. We got two hands there.
Okay, class, we're not going to holler out. We're going to
So,
listen.
today we're going to show the relationship between science, what you learned here with Miss Lanza, and music together. So do you think that might be fun?
Yes.
Awesome. So, if you do me a favor, and do us a favor, and our guests too, by listening, being quiet and listening, and also participating, because there will be plenty of chances for you to participate. If you have a question, you raise your hand. And if you participate and listen, I promise you, by the end of this lesson, you will learn something new that you can go home tonight and tell your friends or your family.
Brag about it.
I just learned something today that I never knew about science or music. That sound pretty cool?
Yes.
All right. So, can you give a big AAA 4th grade welcome to Mr. Morgan Sloan? Thank you. Yeah.
So I got my PowerPoint over here. I'll go ahead and get this started here. So to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Morgan Sloan. Thank you for having me here, and thanks Evan for having me. So my background is in science. I have a degree from the University of Alabama in Huntsville in biological sciences. I started there to become a veterinarian because I love animals. I still love animals today. But I changed my focus a little bit because I discovered how music was really special to me. So right now my full-time job is performing music. But I also spend some time at Hudson Alpha Institute for Biotechnology. Over there we did some really cool things with modern technology. Just to tell you just very briefly one thing we did, we have this new technology that's the size of like a business card. And on that business card, we can test for any kind of sickness a soldier might have in the field. So they can carry this little piece of technology with them, and then they can know what to do, what kind of medicine to take without having to go to a hospital. So that's one cool thing that you can do with science is you can help people in that way. Another thing about myself is I run a nonprofit, Blues to Bluegrass, with some friends of mine. And we bring musicians together, and we host benefits to raise money for things that are important in our community. I saw you guys had something cool up here. What ways can you help your community? And that's really awesome that you're already talking about that in school. So that's something that you should always keep in your heart, because when you help other people, it makes you feel good, right? So we should all think about what we can do to help somebody else. So we'll move on to our next slide here. So this is a picture of a place that I regularly perform in the Big Spring Park in downtown Huntsville. This is a picture of my guitar. It's just a place I normally play. This is a picture of my wife. I'm talking about we love the outdoors, so we go hiking all the time. This is us and our dog.
That's adorable.
And this is our cat and our dog too, making silly faces. So we really love animals. So, one thing that's unique about me is I keep ducks. So these are my ducks that stay in my front yard. These with the hairdo, those are called white-crested ducks. And then these on the right side without the hair, those are called pecans. So one cool thing about these ducks, the reason why they have hair like that, is they are born with a genetic deformity in their skull that lets the hair grow differently right there. So that's how they end up like that. I keep ducks because they lay big eggs. And I like to eat eggs for breakfast almost every day. So they have eggs that are like twice the size of chicken eggs. So they're really big and they're super tasty. These kind of ducks, they get along good with cats and dogs too. So now we're getting into the science side of things. So some interesting things about science and music is the way that we hear is through our ears, and animals are the same way. There are different ways that animals process information, but there's 5 primary senses that let us understand the world around us. We see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. And ducks hear different than cats, and different than dogs, and different than humans. So ducks have a really interesting way that they hear. They have ears, but you don't notice them. You may have thought before, where is a duck's ears, or how does a duck hear? They have little holes on the side of their head, and they have like a hollow cavity inside their head. They use their entire head like an ear. So they can hear sound coming from every direction and underwater too. Ducks have special ear feathers that cover those little holes in the side of their head that are called auriculars. And they protect the duck's ear from harm, which is very important for ducks and for us and all animals to protect their hearing. This is very important for survival and to hear for food and to protect themselves. So instead of traditional ears, they just have their whole head as a big ear. It is cool. I thought that was really cool too. So cats have a different kind of hearing too. They have 32 muscles in their ears. So a bunch of really small muscles that lets them turn their ears in different ways and hear sounds coming from every direction. Cats in particular have a very special type of hearing. They shake their head when they lay down. If you have a cat at home, or if you have a friend that has a pet cat, you may notice when they lay down, or if they've been active for a while, they'll shake their head. And that's because they have fluid inside their ears, and they shake it, it lets it realign, and then they have a really great sense of balance. So if you watch cats before, you may notice that they're like little acrobats. And it's their ears and their senses that help them. Hey.
And does that go for the entire cat family?
Yes, it does. So there's always exceptions to the rule. And felines is a big family, so there's a lot of specialty cats that have different types of ears. But this is mainly referring to like house cats. So another cool thing about cats, they can hear sounds from a really far way away. So that's another special thing about an animal's hearing. And then here's me and my dog. So there's three different things going on here with my dog and her hearing. So she's relaxed in this picture. She's ready to, she's just, whatever is going on, she's calm. And then right here in the middle, she's noticed the sound, so she turns her ears so she can face her ears towards the sound. And this is how that she is able to receive that information in those senses, that are the sensory information that's coming in. So she's noticed the sound, and I tell her, no, it's okay. And she's happy here, ears back down. She's not going to act on that sound. So she has a stimulus, and then she reacts to it, and then processes it here. So dogs' ears, another thing that's really special about them is they not only use them to process the information in the world around them, but they also communicate with their ears too. Do you have a question?
No. I'm just saying you look a lot like my dad, like no
Okay.
Literally.
Okay. So one thing that's interesting about dogs is they also communicate using their ears. Kind of like, and they can also hear sounds that other animals can't hear because they have a very special system. They can hear, their ears are so sensitive, they can even hear bugs in the wall. So now we're on to our hearing, humans. So this is a picture of what a sound wave, this is how we represent a sound wave in science class. Okay, there's a lot of vocabulary here and definitions that are not necessarily important for this lesson, but just as a quick introduction, this is how a sound wave is represented. So sound travels as invisible waves in the air. So when we make a sound, we are producing a wave that goes through the air. And there's characteristic of waves that gives them their pitch, or they might sound really high, like nails on a chalkboard, or they might sound really low, like a booming sound. But the way we describe that is their frequency, and frequencies are described in hertz. So a low hertz number is a deep sound, and a high hertz number is a high-pitched sound. So humans hear roughly from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So about our hearing, it's really important that we protect our hearing. We are only given one set of ears, so we have to do our best to make sure we protect them and not listen to things too loud. If you're going to be in a loud area, like a loud concert, it's a good idea to have like earplugs or earmuffs to cover your ears. Sounds perceived loudness, or how loud it sounds to us, is called, it's referred to as decibels, or dB. So at the low end, the quietest thing we can hear is like 0 decibels, and a whisper is about 40, then regular talking is 60, and then a plane taking off is really loud, that's like twice, that's 130 dB. So exposure to sounds louder than 80 dB for extended periods of time can cause damage to your ear. Do you have a question? No? Okay. So when going to a loud concert, like I said, it's important to protect your ears. Another way to protect your ears is when you're going to listen to the radio, you should turn it all the way down and just bring it up slowly until you can hear it, and not much louder than that. If it gets loud enough where you start to feel uncomfortable, then you're damaging your ears. So it's important that you don't listen to it that's loud enough that it makes you uncomfortable. And like I said, we only get one pair, so it's our job to protect them and make sure that they last us our whole lives. So I said a bunch of words earlier, and I just real briefly go over what these are. You may have heard some of these before or already understand them. You had a question?
Yes. When I fall asleep and it's really quiet, I always hear it feels like a really high frequency noise.
So that's called tinnitus. So that's when there's sometimes people have a really high pitched noise in their ear all the time. I experience that sometimes too, and a lot of times that comes from when we've heard a really loud noise, and it can cause damage to our ears. And then there's different ways that you can go about solving that. For me, when I'm uncomfortable and I hear that loud noise all the time, I just turn on a fan, and that's called like a white noise, and then that helps like balance it out. But tinnitus, there's research being done on different ways that we can treat that. Do you have a question?
Yeah, at nighttime, when I'm about to go to sleep, I hear like that ringing noise in my ears.
Uh-huh.
But I have an Alexa, so I play like there's on Spotify there's a white noise. So
Yeah.
I play that and it has like different noises.
Yeah, that works good too. Mm-hmm. You have a question too? No? You have a question?
Basically, I also hear like a ringing.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever my blood sugar goes like high.
Mm-hmm.
I hear like a lot of ringing.
Mm-hmm.
Like multiple, like at least 10.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting worried because it's happening a little more.
Okay, well that's something you should talk to your doctor about if you're uncomfortable, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, guys, listen for a while, because we only have a time limit right now. Just wait.
So I'll just go through these really quick. So investigating. This is something that's the fun part of science. This is when you're doing research, you're doing experiments. This is what we're doing. We're investigating. We're detectives. We're solving the mysteries of the world. We investigate. We come up with tests to find out the answers to whatever we want to know. So evidence is the facts that we discover from our investigation, and evidence is information. Transmit means to send something. We transmit sound waves out of our mouth when we talk. And perception is how we make sense of something that was transmitted to us. Receptors, this is like our ears have receptors in them. Our tongue has taste buds on it. That's a receptor, how we taste things. And then we already talked about senses. We see, smell, taste, touch, hear. Sensory information is anything that is transmitted that is picked up by your senses. We process this information and we create memories. So memories are a combination of all those things your brain saves for you. It's important because this is how we learn and how we survive in the world around us as we have memories. We remember to look both ways before crossing the street. We remember to wash our hands after we use the bathroom or before we eat. So this is some important vocabulary. All right. Okay, so we'll move on to the music portion. In addition to the science of how we hear, there's things that what we hear can also be related to science. I'm going to play you guys a song I wrote. While I'm getting set up here, if y'all have any questions, now's a good time. Go ahead.
So it's not really a question. It's
Sure.
more like a fact.
Yeah.
So it's about dogs. And
Okay.
really pets.
Yeah.
They're adorable.
Yeah, I love pets too. Go ahead. Purple, what's your name? Okay. Hey.
So like, do you have perform on stage, like kind of like a concert?
I do. I perform on stage, or sometimes I go out to the park and I play in the park in public too.
When you go on stage, do you kind of feel scared a little bit, nervous?
Sometimes. So, what I personally do to make me feel more comfortable if I'm going to go perform in front of people is I just practice what I'm going to be doing, and I just get really confident in whatever I'm about to be performing, and know that I know it really well. And then if I ever get nervous, I just remember all the time I practice, and it makes me feel better. You have a question?
Yeah. It's a fact. You know
Okay.
dogs can hear really far away?
Yeah.
My dog being. What? We're not calling out. We're not calling out. Okay, Victor, thank you. We're not calling out.
What type of guitar is that?
This is a Takamine.
I have that.
Yeah?
I have a bass guitar.
Cool. So you know, we talked about frequencies. Would a bass guitar be low frequency or a high frequency?
Low.
It would be low.
All right, let's put our hands down and let's listen respectfully. Here.
sky. Seasons change, but babe, don't you cry. And the earth still turning around in space. Seasons change like the lines upon your face. Alright, so this first song, the name of that song is Seasons, and I mentioned several science-related topics in the song. I talk about as the leaves spin, or tornado in your eyes. This is referring to, I don't know if you've ever been outside in the fall and you see a bunch of leaves on the ground and they're spinning around in a circle. So that's a special thing called wind eddies. You've never heard of that before. And that comes when a big gust of wind comes and it hits something big, like the side of a building or a curb. And when the wind comes along and it hits it, it has to do something. So it turns, and when it turns, a lot of times it'll create a vortex. And in that vortex, it'll catch anything that's really lightweight, like leaves or any kind of like plastic or whatever is on the ground. So that's called another name for that is like a leaf tornado.
Or like a bag.
Yeah, or a bag. Anything that's really lightweight that can catch wind. And then, so the next line of the song is "Look around, fall is here to no surprise." And this is because seasons change every year predictably because of the Earth orbiting around the sun in an elliptical shape. So you guys know that we have a solar system, and in the middle of the solar system we have the sun, and all the planets revolve around the sun. One cool thing about, I'm just going to do a real quick drawing here. You may know this already, but in the middle, we'll call this the sun here, okay? And then things orbit around the sun. Then when it's orbiting around, it's also spinning. So the Earth is going in an orbit around, and while it's going around, it's spinning too. So the spin of the Earth is what gives us day and night, and then how far we are away from the sun is what gives us what season we're in. So seasons are, it gets, when we're closer to the sun, it's hotter, so it's summer. We're further away from the sun, it's colder, it's winter. So that's real briefly touch on seasons there. So the next line in the song is the Earth is still tumbling around in space. That's referring to Earth is spinning in its orbit, and seasons change like the lines upon your face. So we develop lines on our faces. We get older when we smile. There's lines that come up on the side of our mouths. You can see like smiling, or if we squint and something's bright in our eyes, we have lines that come across the side. And then as we get older, those lines change. And that's just what I'm talking about in the song.
What is it called again?
The name of that song is Seasons. And I'm not watching the time. You just let me know if I start to run out of time, okay?
You got about 20 minutes.
20 minutes, cool.
Yay.
So another thing that music can be used for, in addition to talking about science, is, and there is science in this too though, is music can be used as therapy. You have a question? Go ahead.
No, I actually just wanted to say one thing that it is related to science is that you can make science with instruments because with that guitar, the strings project the sound into the hole into the guitar, and then it shoots back out to make a melody.
That's science too. So music can help people use in therapy in different ways. So at Huntsville Hospital, for example, they have a whole music therapy program, and there's people that work there full time that go and play music for people as a form of therapy and help them. Music can be used as a relaxing thing. It can be used as something to help you remember something. It can stimulate a memory. It can help you develop singing.